Peace. What's the word? What's happening, everybody? Hopefully, everybody is having a powerful Monday, starting the week off on a positive, productive, peaceful note. I'm gonna give y'all about 3 to 5 minutes to tap in with the kid before we start building on the subject matter, man. Y'all see what it is. I haven't been live in a minute, but I'm back at it, man. So hopefully, y'all got about an hour or so on this wonderful Monday to tap in, listen to the build, add on, all that good stuff, man. But y'all know how I go before I start my build. I like to tap in and see how my people are doing. So, hey, tap in with me. Let me know how y'all living and feeling on this wonderful Monday before I dive into this subject matter. Like I say, man, we got some stuff to build on. We got some stuff to discuss. Y'all see what it is, man. But what's the word? How my people living? How my people feeling on this wonderful Monday? Tap in with the kid before I build on this subject matter, man. What's happening? Hopefully, y'all staying peaceful, productive, healthy, all that good stuff, man. Putting positive thoughts into the atmosphere, knocking out them goals, all that, man. But tap in with me, man. Tap in with me. Give y'all about 5 minutes to tap in and let me know how we living, how we feeling. Y'all see the subject matter, man. Y'all see the title of the stream. Hey, Tony Peace, what's happening? What's the word? How my brothers doing? How my brothers living? How my brothers feeling? All that good stuff, man. How we living? How we feeling? But yeah, y'all see it, man. Y'all see what we gonna discuss. Y'all know I had to get on here and talk about what's going on with Diddy and whatnot. Y'all know I've been leading that campaign for a minute. You know, I can't stand wickedness. So every time the wickedness gets caught up, and they break their oath or whatever whatever. But when they get caught up, when they get jammed up, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. He must have breached the contract or something. Now they exposing all this dirty deeds, all this dirty acts. So I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Unfortunately, all the people that play a role in what goes on in Hollyweird, we know they not all gonna get caught up. They throw their expendable people into the mix, man. But the ones who really controlling the strings, we know at the end of the day, they not gonna get caught up. That's wishful thinking. But anybody that's playing a role in it, for me, man, hey, wickedness needs to be dealt with. Hey, Serpent X, peace, what's happening? Lindell, peace, what's happening? What's the word? Tony, always been corrupt. But I've also seen just some weird energy also pertaining to the stuff that's happening with Diddy. People out here defending that man. Like, man, I don't defend wickedness. Like how our culture states pro-righteousness and anti-devilishment. Anybody out here engaging in wicked acts, man, I don't support that. I don't care what you look like. So if you out here supporting Diddy, I honestly don't even understand it. The stuff that he's getting, the stuff that I ain't even gonna say accused of, but the stuff he didn't got caught doing and caught with, like this is stuff that we already knew. It's almost like in wrestling when all the stuff started coming out about Vince McMahon. Like we already knew, dude. If you watch wrestling back in those days, you already knew all this stuff that was coming out was true. You knew it. You already knew this stuff. So the same applies to Diddy, man. We already knew this. So all this stuff that's coming out about dude, this was already known, especially if you've been tapped in to that type of information for a minute in regards to Hollyweird. You know what I mean? If you've been tapped into that information, you already know what's up. You already know who's doing what. And I see people on social media talking about, oh man, I can't wait to see who else gonna get brought up or get exposed and things like that. Man, it's a long list, and the people like me have been trying to tell you. Like most of these mainstream folks then participated in this nonsense. So it's gonna be some of your favorite entertainers. They are in the mix. They have been doing this stuff. They just as wicked. But again, folks like myself been trying to tell you this, man. That's why I be fooling with the underground. And then we done had a few people on the mainstream level that they try to put people on game, but people look at those people like they crazy. So yeah, when more names get revealed and more people get exposed and y'all act surprised, that's about to be funny. Yeah, Tony and they not gonna release that list because the one of the reasons they might release that when they release the list, or if they decide to release the list, that list will be severely altered, and it will be a lot of names missing. So that's what's going to happen with that list if it's ever revealed. It's going to be severely altered, where a lot of names will not be present on that list. You know, they expose who they want to expose. Best believe that. Best believe that. All in there for sure, man. This, like I say, this stuff been, hey, it's nothing new under the sun. We knew. Everybody should have been. Everybody should know that this has been going on, especially with Diddy. Like, it's nothing new. It's nothing new. Like all this stuff, man. The baby oil, all this type of stuff that he got caught with, man. Like, this is nothing new. We've been new this. We've been new dudes on that. But the thing of it is, like, that's just what he got caught with. Like, man, dude, that industry is wicked. That industry is foul. That industry is just down and dirty. So it's a lot that can get exposed and get revealed, fam, that dude then participated in and that other people have participated in. Straight up. Foul industry. And you've had, like I said, you've had plenty of brothers, you've had plenty of sisters that would speak on this and they would get silenced. Matter of fact, y'all know Mark Curry, the dude that was down with Bad Boy for the longest, put out that book called Dancing with the Devil. And he was exposing Diddy in the book. He was exposing Diddy in the book. But Diddy having the money and the connections that he had and has, he was able to pretty much blackball that book to where the book wasn't getting promoted thoroughly. It was getting taken down from sites, all that type of good stuff, man. So he was blocking the visibility of the book. But y'all heard about that. Y'all heard about that. Matter of fact, this might have been a few years ago, but Mark Curry was doing interviews a few years ago when all of this stuff kind of started popping back up in regards to Diddy. He was getting some interviews out here. But, man, Mark Curry wrote that book, man, in like the early 2000s. That book is old. That book is old. That's not a new book. Mark Curry wrote Dancing with the Devil many moons ago. But Diddy having his connections and the money, like I said, blocked the visibility of the book. So, dude, my man's been getting exposed out here, fam. But when you got that money, you can silence folks. You can block visibility. You can do these things. You can make people appear to be crazy to the masses when you got money. And that's what these folks do. That's what these folks do. But y'all can look that book up on Amazon right now and go grab it. Dancing with the Devil, Mark Curry. He was letting you know some stuff way back in the game. But again, even when he wrote that book, we still was already knowing. Like, we been knew about Diddy, man. We been knew it. All in the Dell, yeah, for sure. And Sean said that man ruined his life. And straight up, like this, you looking at karma. You know what I mean? Like, you looking at what goes around, coming back around. You looking at the law of reciprocity. You hear me? You looking at the law of reciprocity and all that type of stuff, man. You get in what you put out. Like, that's what you looking at. Oh, Mark, yeah, I got that Professor Griff book behind me. Man, Professor Griff is one of the ones. But I got that book behind me somewhere. It's all these books y'all see behind me. I do got that book. Read that book, man, about 14, 15 years ago. That book was putting us all on game. But I also remember being present in that time. MB, what's happening? I remember being present in that time, talking about Illuminati, secret society, Skull and Bones, Trilateral Commission, Bilderberg groups. Like, I remember having these conversations, trying to put people on game, letting them know what's really going on. And the looks you got, that was right around the time where folks started to think that I was going crazy. I was losing it when I was speaking on it. And I stopped listening to a lot of mainstream nonsense. That's when I say, man, I ain't about to listen to these dudes, man. These cats foul, man. I ain't listening to this energy. And people start saying things like, well, man, you gotta learn how to separate the art from the artist. No, that's part of programming. Fam, when you listening to these wicked cats, man, you consuming that energy. You consuming their energy, fam. So I'm like, nah, I'm good. You know, if these cats out here doing this wickedness, I'm not about to listen to their music, fam. That's a whole package to me. I'm not separating the art from the artist, man. So I had stopped doing that. Like I had stopped separating the art from the artist. Like, look, if you was foul, I had to stop listening to you. You know what I'm saying? If I felt you was foul, like a lot of these cats, I felt it. You know, I felt it. Like Diddy was a dude. It's a few of these dudes, but Diddy was definitely one that I never really liked. I never cared for him, fam. Never cared for him. Just something never sat right with me about dude. When I was a kid, I just didn't like Diddy. It was always something about dude that I personally didn't like. And that was back when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? You know how you could just sense things and just feel things? That was one of those situations for me. I'm just like, man, something ain't right with this dude. And I'm analyzing this as a kid. So I ain't got no information to corroborate any of these feelings and claims. I just don't feel like that dude is right. And I'm acknowledging this and analyzing this as a child. Like, man, something ain't right with this dude. I don't really rock with him like that. You know? So we got to learn how to start doing that just even on a musical tip, fam. We got to stop listening to these folks with that wicked energy, fam. You consuming that. Whether you acknowledge it or not, whether you admit it or not, you consuming that. And it will affect you in a negative manner. And a lot of times you won't even really notice it consciously because it's some subliminal stuff going on. So next thing you know, you are acting a fool and don't even realize where that's coming from. That music, man, that programs you. It's that person with that wicked energy that you listening to, but you made an exception because they got a good beat, they got a good hook, whatever the case may be. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. You know, but I ain't never like Diddy. I'm y'all might be mad at the other one, but I ain't never like Diddy. I never like Jay-Z. Jay-Z never sat right with your boy ever. Like there was never a period in my life where I was just like, man, this Jay-Z dude cool. Something about that dude I've never trusted. Like something about it. Every time I've had moments to where it's like, man, let me give dude a chance, man. Let me just see if I'm just tripping. Every time I try to give myself a chance to vibe with Jay-Z, I can't do it. It's like it's something within me that say, man, don't even listen to this dude. Like, don't tap in with that dude. Can't do it. I get the same vibe I get trying to fool with Jay-Z and Diddy with. I get that same vibe that I get trying to deal with them that I get when I try to deal with some of these white folks. It just don't sit well with me. They fit that same bill for me from an energy perspective. It's just like it some don't sit right with me when I try to entertain these dudes. Some don't sit right with me. I should be like, man, I can't listen to these dudes for too long without feeling some type of way. You know, can't do it. Them are the two main dudes. I don't like a lot of mainstream folks, to be honest with you. Y'all know I don't care for Drake now. You know what I'm saying? I don't like a lot of them. Most of them, matter of fact. Like a lot of my favorite people coming straight from the underground, straight up. So I don't like a lot of mainstream folks because I disconnected from that way back when I started to get the information and started tapping into myself. But anybody that I definitely, when I got knowledge that they was participating in some weird activity, I definitely started cutting that off. For real. I listen to some instrumentals nowadays, man. I ain't got time for none of that wicked nonsense, man, that folks be on. And I'm also, you got people, and these people, like, I ain't gonna say bother me, but man, these people got to stop doing this. The people that's out here defending Diddy, you have people that I've seen on social media, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all of these platforms. You have people that try to be so pro-black to the point where they are saying things along the lines of, oh, y'all couldn't wait to tear another black man down, and all this type of nonsense. Like, why are we going so hard on the black man? We shouldn't do that. And all of that type of nonsense. Listen, you can take my black card, do whatever you please. But again, my doctrine states pro-righteousness, anti-devilishment. I don't care what shade of pigmentation your skin is. If you are performing wicked acts, you deserve to be punished for your wicked acts. Flat out, man. If you out here doing foul work, if you out here being foul, if you out here performing devilish acts, then you deserve punishment for your actions. Point blank, period. I don't care what you look like. And then you're going to get criticized from me. I'm not about to hold back on my criticism because it's another brother. No. If a brother is out here being foul, I'm going to speak on it because we have to eliminate that in our community. Matter of fact, I may be more vocal at times about that because we got a lot of this nonsense in our communities because folks be looking up to these brothers with money in our communities. So I'm going to be very vocal about it. So I can go point out to the young bulls or the people that's younger than me that's looking up to folks like Diddy that got this money doing what they did and say, look, boom, here's what's going to end up happening to you. Once you sign that oath, once you take that oath, once you sign them contracts, this is what's going to happen to you. You always expendable. So in due time, this is what's going to happen to you. Your life, your world is going to come crumbling down because you didn't choose to attain your riches in a righteous manner. You chose to attain your riches in a deceptive manner. This is what's going to happen to you. This is what's going to happen to you. When you take the oath, sign these contracts, it's a wrap. Don't do it. Don't take that path. Don't take it at all. And so I'm always going to highlight situations like this. Just like I highlight the successes of my folks, but nobody is above criticism. Nobody is above criticism, fam. Nobody. We criticizing everybody. And that's part of the reason why you have certain situations going on in our own families and people trying to remain silent about those things. This is a prime example of that. We turn the other cheek towards this type of stuff when it's close to home. We don't want to believe that Unc could be out here touching his niece, his nephew. We don't want to believe that. So we accuse the child of lying. This type of stuff goes on and has been going on in our communities for too long. So every time we got little situations pop up, I'm criticizing everybody because we need to eliminate the wickedness in our own communities. So anybody that's performing wicked acts, they about to get this. Hey, they about to get this verbal slashing, fam. They gonna get it. They gonna get it every time. Anybody that's out here being wicked and foul, they gonna get this verbal slashing every time. Every time. Hey, IBR, peace. Hey, 770 manual. Peace to everybody that's tapping in. So again, pro-righteousness, anti-devilishment. We are pro-righteousness, anti-devilishment. That don't say pro-black, anti-white, whatever you want to call it. It's pro-righteousness, anti-devilishment. That revolves around one's ways and actions. How are you acting? Are you acting in a righteous manner? We are pro that. Are you acting in a devilish manner? We are anti that. So I don't care how you look. Anybody is capable of performing righteous acts, and anybody is capable of performing devilish acts. If you choose to perform devilish acts, then you deserve everything that's coming to you. Straight up. Straight up. So I ain't never going to be that blinded to the point where I'm just going to support somebody because they black no matter what they doing. Same applies to family. I don't just support somebody because they family, man. Nope. If you in my family, we blood, and you out here performing wicked acts, stay away from me. You getting criticized. I'm going off on you. I'm going in on you. I ain't hanging around you. Don't be around me performing foul acts. I don't care if you're my cousin. I don't care if you're my uncle. I don't care if you're my father. I don't care. I'm not hanging around these type of people with that type of energy. No. I don't care who you are. I don't care the relation. I don't care how you look. If you performing wicked acts, you are getting criticized. You getting this verbal slashing. I'm distancing myself from you if it's family. Now, it ain't even distancing. I'm disconnecting from you. because I don't want to associate with people who perform certain acts. I don't want to do it. Because again, when what they tell you, you become the people you hang around, or the people you hang around can have an impact on your energy. So if you are here performing wicked acts, I'm not hanging around you. I don't want no parts of that. That's like if you a great father, are you about to choose to hang around a bunch of deadbeats? That don't make any sense, do it? You a great father, you embrace fatherhood, you all for fatherhood. You gonna hang around 4 or 5 deadbeats? You gonna hang around one deadbeat? No. That person is not in alignment with your morals. You know what I'm saying? So you gonna hang around people, or you should be hanging around people who align with your morals, with your principles. No, y'all don't have to agree on everything, but there's certain principles that y'all have that's in alignment, and that's how that should be. Again, I'm not hanging around people who perform certain acts, man. You out here, you know what I'm saying? You didn't got accused of messing with children, and it's like you did that. You know what I'm saying? Like all the evidence stating you did that. Man, you better get away from me. I'm not hanging around you, and I don't care the relation. I'm not about to be like, the system just trying to bring him down because, bro, you did that. You did that. Once we confirm you did that, we good. I have no dealings with said individual. So anybody that's out here defending Diddy, again, you might as well remove yourself from this channel, because we don't defend that type of activity. We don't support that type of activity. We don't support people who engage in those type of activities. And again, the little freak offs, I ain't even really talking about that, because Diddy did way more wicked things than that, man. Diddy didn't have folks killed, fam. You know what I'm saying? Like, he done had folks killed for some nonsense, for some straight up nonsense. But this is the stuff that hasn't been revealed yet. Like the little freak offs, to me, that's light work compared to what he really did out here. That's light work. That's light work. All the baby oil, the dildos, all that type of stuff, man. That's light. Like, that's light. That's light. That's one side of the stuff he did. That's one side of it. He didn't perform a bunch of wicked activities. And the main thing, man, he didn't been behind a lot of people getting killed out here. And that's facts. And I hope those facts get revealed. I hope those facts get revealed, man. You just gotta start looking at people, man. When a lot of people around you just ended up dying, some got some. Come on, man. Something like weird about that, man. You gotta analyze that, man. When folks, like a lot of close people around you, just dying, fam. Just dying. Come on, man. You gotta start looking into that type of stuff. And then y'all remember what happened to Jamie Foxx, right? Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that when Jamie Foxx damn near died? Word on the street was he was about to expose Diddy. He was about to expose some of that. That was word on the street. Jamie Foxx damn near died, and word on the street was he was about to expose some things. I know y'all ain't forget about that. All the stuff starts to make sense now. Jamie Foxx was damn near killed, and word on the street was he was about to expose the very things that are being exposed right now about the very same person, Diddy. So again, that man is a monster, fam. Diddy is a monster. He almost had Jamie Foxx off. And that's real. That's real. This stuff ain't no coincidence. And it's not a conspiracy theory, man. Y'all know what happened to Jamie Foxx, man. He was about to say some things. And look what happened. And then right after that, now look what's happening to Diddy. Come on, man. It's a lot of people that have been right up on Diddy, man. They just end up dead. Those type of people are wicked, man. They didn't have stuff happen to people. MB, peace. Appreciate that super chat for sure. And what you say, the song "Not Like Us" by Kendrick can even apply to our own kinfolk. Just because they blood doesn't mean we need to associate with them. 1,000%. And sometimes that's our problem. We just bringing people in because they look like us. Nope. and that goes into my other discussion with the Nation of Islam and them. Now, mind you, man, I done learned a lot from Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad, other brothers in the Nation of Islam, like Nuri Muhammad, bunch of people. I done learned a lot from folks in the Nation of Islam. But as I have always said, nobody, and this includes myself, this includes the culture that I'm a part of, but nobody is above criticism, not one person. So if you have a doctrine to where I can't criticize a certain person in that group or in that organization, I have a problem with that, because nobody is above criticism. There's nobody on this planet. There is nobody on this planet that is right 100% of the time. Nobody. So any culture that puts a person on a pedestal to where they can never be wrong and never do wrong, nope. Your boy is excluded from any type of organization like that, because that's nobody on the planet. Nobody on the planet. And that's one of the problems I tend to have with my NOI brothers and sisters. You cannot criticize Farrakhan nor Elijah. You can't do it. You can't do it. That's almost like placing a spell under them or something. Like, you cannot criticize them. It's like you talking about their mom. Matter of fact, you might can criticize some of their parents before you criticize Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad. At least from the experiences I have had with some of them. You all may have had different experiences, but from some of the experiences I would have with some of them, you better not say anything, and it won't even be necessarily negative. It's just criticism, like what he said was incorrect. You might say something like that. That's not negative. That's just saying somebody says something that's incorrect. If I say something that's incorrect, I would like for you to correct me. Hey, what you said was not right. Here's the actual fact. Boom. My experiences with some of my NOI brothers and sisters is that you can't do that with Farrakhan and Elijah. They start getting defensive. They start getting upset. Prime example is one of the things, the mothership. When they would swear up and down to me that Elijah Muhammad is not dead, he's in some mothership and he's still alive, I simply would ask, can you provide me with the physical evidence that will confirm what it is that you are saying? As the Carl Sagan said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So if you about to tell me that Elijah Muhammad is still alive in a mother plane or a UFO, that sounds great. That sounds great to pretty much back up your religion here. It makes your religion appear to be real prophetic and real powerful. But can you provide me with physical evidence to confirm this? Fam, you can't just tell me somebody is still alive. That word on the street was they died 40 plus years ago, and they on a mother plane and they still living, they still breathing. I need to see what you're talking about. So I would simply ask some of these folks, hey, where's the proof? Show me the proof. That's all I would be asking. And they would be going off. Going off. They would do everything besides show me Elijah Muhammad in a UFO. That's all I'm asking. If you tell me this man is alive and you can confirm this, or at least it sounded like you can, just show me the evidence. Fam, if I say something, if I make a claim about something that I can show and prove, then when somebody asks me to show and prove it, I will do just that. I'm going to do just that. If I tell you, hey, man, my grandfather is still alive, he lives in such and such and such and such, and you be like, well, where's the evidence? And I got that, and I got it in my phone. I'm like, here go the evidence. Here he is right here. Boom. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to get upset because you asking me to prove something that I just said. Then that's going to lead me to believe that you are out here speaking on something that you cannot confirm. And that's what will happen a lot of times. And it still happens a lot of times when I talk to my Muslim brothers and sisters. And I'm going to need for you all to stop doing that, especially when you are also criticizing the church. and pastors, you are no different than the followers of Christianity and all the people that populate these mega churches when it comes to the way y'all view Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad and the stuff that they say. I'm sorry. This may be a truth that you don't want to hear, but if you are a member of the NOI and you have criticized any other religion, you don't have the right to do that because y'all just as brainwashed by one or two people and what they say. Y'all just as brainwashed. Just like you could go look at these other religions and say, well, anything that is written in this book, they abide by it. This applies to you all. Anything that Farrakhan say, y'all abide by it. Anything that Elijah say, y'all abide by it. Y'all don't question it. Nothing is wrong with questioning anything. Matter of fact, just because you question something don't mean that you don't even believe it. You just looking for evidence. You just looking for the proof, the confirmation. So just because I ask a question, just because I question something, that don't mean I disagree with it. That means what you saying sounds very interesting to the point where if you can confirm it, hey, I might have to rock with this. But when you question a lot of these folks, and when you question a lot of people in these organizations, they get real defensive. And I got 3 books that I want to bring up for anybody that wants to tap into some information in regards to my Muslim brother. One of them I brought up before. Y'all already know it. The Book of Khalid Muhammad. Now, y'all seen what I wrote on the community wall and whatnot. And when I said what they did to Brother Malcolm, what they did to Brother Khalid, and how that just affected that whole organization or that whole religion. And that's where they lost me. Every time I read about what happened to Malcolm and what happened to Khalid, it just further confirms the way that I feel about the organization and why I never even thought to become a member of it. You know, and then I already kind of know some of their arguments when it comes to bringing these names up, especially when it comes to Malcolm. Oh, he disobeyed an order from Elijah. That's cool and whatnot. If you want, if you really want to believe that that's the only reason that Malcolm was did the way that he was did, then okay, be my guest. If you don't think it was some jealousy behind what happened to Malcolm, then you are delusional. Same with Brother Khalid. Like, if you don't think that there was some jealousy that existed there, you are just choosing to be ignorant and you just want to be delusional. But this Book of Khalid, y'all already know this is a great book. Great book. Then you got The Black Muslims in America by Eric Lincoln. See Eric Lincoln. And then this book right here, Inside the Nation of Islam. This book right here is crazy. This was written by a former minister, a former member of the Nation of Islam. And I think the stuff that he was writing about, his experiences that he was writing about, took place in like the 80s and some of the 90s. I think that was as far as his membership went. And he talked about some personal things that he experienced while he was a member of the Nation of Islam. And man, it gets very wicked. You know, it gets very wicked. But y'all know Khalid Muhammad, man, one of my favorite speakers on the planet. You know, and the way they started to do that, brother, at the end when he made that King College speech and he was going in, and he got suspended and whatnot for that. Like, man, he was teaching it how to, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was going in how the doctrine tells him to go in. So I thought that was the energy behind Elijah Muhammad now back in the day. Like, I thought that's how Khalid was coming. I didn't see anything wrong with his speech. Like, at all. At all. I didn't heard Farrakhan say some things that it was like, you know, if Khalid got suspended for what he said, but you can say what you didn't say. You know, you might not have said everything he said verbatim, man, but you didn't. Hold on. Hold up now. You didn't say some things. You just said some things that could have people looking at you sideways. But the way they did Brother Khaled to me, man, because Khaled was ride or die, man. His whole life revolved around spreading the message of the Nation of Islam. His whole, everything about him was to spread the message of the Nation of Islam, man. He was ready to kill for that message, fam. Like straight up. Khalid Muhammad was ready to kill for that message. He was ready to die for that message. Hence why he was saying what he was saying at the King on the King College speech. He was ready to kill for him. He was ready to die about it. Them the type of people you need in your corner. You need somebody like Khalid in your corner. But I feel like it was jealousy. And I don't even feel like, I felt like it at first, but when I was reading this Inside the Nation of Islam book, certain things were confirmed. You know, and again, I want to keep reminding you that I don't dislike Farrakhan, dislike the Nation of Islam. Again, I got plenty of Nation of Islam books behind me. I got plenty of books by Elijah. I got plenty of books. I got Farrakhan books, man. I got Wesley Muhammad joints. Like, I got all of these books behind me. But again, as I say, nobody is above criticism. Nobody is above criticism. Not one person. So my whole thing is, if wickedness is going on, it needs to be corrected. It needs to be corrected. And in order for stuff to be corrected, it has to be brought to the surface. People have to know that it exists. You know, again, I don't place anybody on a pedestal to where everything that they do is right and exact. I'm not going to place anybody on that pedestal. Even the two brothers that I mentioned. Khalid and Malcolm X, I could go point out some things that I don't necessarily agree with that they just said and how they moved. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can point that out, but I still don't feel like they should have been done the way that they were done. Like, yeah, Malcolm shouldn't have said what he said, shouldn't have disobeyed it. But I also still feel like it was some jealousy behind it. Again, that's a feeling. That's me observing it from research and reading. Because I've also just personally been in situations to where I didn't been a victim of jealousy. I didn't been a victim of envy on my own end. And I didn't been a victim of that from people who I was close to. You know what I'm saying? For people who I was close to. So I done been a victim of that jealousy. I done been a victim of that type of energy. You know, I done been hated on. I done had folks be jealous of me. And these same folks that was jealous of me were some people that I would ride and die for. So I didn't been around that. So when I read their stories, I kind of placed myself in that situation and compared it to the stuff I done went through. And I'm like, man, that just seemed like that type of time, fam. Like, we got to be real. All jokes aside, all things aside, man. You got to understand, man. Malcolm and Khalid were some very popular brothers and some very well-spoken brothers. Even I heard, and this could be wrong, but I heard when Farrakhan was first invited to listen to Elijah Muhammad speak, and I think it was by Malcolm. I could be wrong. But I heard that when he first heard Elijah Muhammad speak, he was criticizing the speech. Like, man, this brother cannot talk. So he was criticizing the way that Elijah Muhammad spoke. And I forgot what they said Elijah Muhammad said in response. Elijah didn't necessarily hear what he said, but it was something like he was sensing that, something like that. But I heard a story along those lines that Farrakhan, when he first was getting introduced to the nation, he heard Elijah speak, and he wasn't too fond of the way Elijah spoke. But when you hear Malcolm speak, man, it's almost flawless. So you guys to know that the ego will get involved, fam. One of the 48 laws of power, as much as we want to talk about that book, it tells you never outshine your master, fam. So we can't act like these laws are not right and exact. We can't act like these laws are not right and exact, man. So I just had to analyze it like that. That's how I was looking at it. That's how I was looking at it. That's how I was looking at it, unfortunately. Or fortunately, however you whatever words you want to use. Jack, you say he was right and exact, but was reckless. Who you talking about? You talking about Malcolm? If you're talking about Malcolm, I can see that. But here's my thing. This is the see, this is part of the problem that I have with all of this, right? Here's my thing. And again, nobody is above criticism in my end. I'm not gonna go to bat that hard for anybody, but here's my thing, just being objective. If I create a doctrine, not even create a doctrine, if I'm pushing a doctrine, and this doctrine is here to uplift black people, and it's giving the truth to me about white folks and their true nature, and people are coming across this life-changing information in prison when they're young, whatever the case may be, and this information is changing their lives for the better, and they are becoming soldiers for me, and I start implementing certain policies and rules and things like that, like after the fact or 10, 15, 20 years later, it's like, man, I'm gonna be way more understanding. Even if I tell them to stop saying things a certain type of way, and it happens, because I got to understand the foundation. You came into this information and this was the language. This is how it was taught to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to take a minute for you not to speak this type of way. So I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to do that. As a leader, especially one of my greatest soldiers, I'm not going to overreact to it. You know, I feel like it's a way to approach the situation. And again, since I don't place anybody on a pedestal, I feel like on both sides, it was handled in a way I probably wouldn't have handled it. Like, I wouldn't have handled it the way it was handled. And that's just my humble opinion on the situation. That's my humble opinion on the situation, because I do feel like it was some jealous energy in the atmosphere on both sides. And I just feel like it was some things said. Like I feel like Farrakhan made some statements, just some unnecessary statements in the direction of Malcolm, that made me think the way that made me think the way that I feel now. Now he made a double back and ended up reconnecting with some of Malcolm's people and things like that, man. But it was some statements that was initially made, and I'm like, come on, fam. Come on, fam. Like, nah. Like, don't put that energy into the atmosphere. Like, I can see, and here's my thing about some of the stuff. Y'all know, if y'all know the history, y'all know some the stuff that I'm talking about that Farrakhan was out here saying in that regard, in that direction. Man, if he went against certain orders, that's cool. Man, but if he didn't violate your family, he didn't put his hands on any of your family members, man, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't make it seem like he didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's way worse things that could have been done, man. Don't make it seem like he deserves to die or he deserves death. Oh, no, we ain't gonna do that now. Like, come on now. See, Jack. Now, Jack. Now, here, this is what I'm saying. On the side of peace, what's happening? Now, Jack. Here's the thing. So, this is what I'm gonna ask about that. If we gonna say Khaled was reckless and Malcolm was reckless, so are you gonna sit here and tell me honestly that there was never a time in history where Elijah Muhammad was reckless, and there was never a time in history where Farrakhan was reckless? Are we gonna do that? Because there are And we can check the court documents about some of the stuff that was happening, especially like with some of the money in the Million Man March and some of these businesses that the Nation of Islam has set up, and how Farrakhan wasn't paying certain people their money. Like, this is real rap. This is stuff that we have documents on. So if we about to say they were reckless, which I agree, I'm not going to disagree and say Colin and Malcolm didn't have their reckless moments. But are we going to sit here and act like those other two guys that I mentioned never had reckless moments? So during their whole entire existence in the Nation of Islam, they were never reckless once? That's going to be my question. Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad, they never had reckless moments? They never committed errors. They never made decisions that they shouldn't have made. That's going to be the honest question. So again, I can sit here and say, Malcolm, you shouldn't. Somebody gave you a direct order that's part of your organization. You don't disobey the order. Deal with the consequences. Khaled, you went to King College. You was riling people up. We not ready for a race war. But at the end of the day, we ain't gonna never be ready for one. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't gonna never be ready. Somebody gonna have to spark it off, because at this rate, we gonna keep playing this passive game because we're not striving to be ready for one. You know, so I feel like at the end of the day, something gonna have to just pop off, and we might just have to take some L's initially, because ain't nobody really, we not really gearing up for one. But I can say, okay, that's reckless. But we also got to point out the reckless behavior on all sides, and that is the problem that I have. That is the problem that I have. That is the problem. That's why I brought up 3 books first and foremost. And anybody that disagrees with what I'm saying, I will ask you to read the 3 books that I brought up. And that's what I do. Because I can get on here, I can say what I say, I can give my opinions, give how I feel. But I would like for y'all to read, anybody that disagrees with the book, anybody that's a member of the Nation of Islam, whatever, read the 3 books that I brought up. Read them, and then come back to me and let me know how you feel about the information within the books. So the 3 books that I brought up, go on Amazon, order the 3, read them, let me know the errors contained within the books. Let me know the pros and cons. Just don't focus on the errors. Because there were, like in this Inside the Nation book, I didn't just read this book and say everything in this book is right and exact. There's some stuff in the book that was not right and exact. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some stuff in this book that I know is wrong. Why? Because I got plenty of Nation of Islam material behind me. I got plenty of material that was written by Elijah Muhammad now and Farrakhan and all that behind me. I've watched majority of Farrakhan's speeches. Like, I know what was said in a lot of those speeches. And I got all the books, and I've read most of them. So I know it was some stuff in this book that wasn't right and exact. But then it was also some stuff in the book that was right and exact. So I'm able to look at it like that. And then you got to cross-reference everything, which is where this book comes into play. And then there's some other books that I got behind me. But research what's being said. Don't take anything on face value. Don't take anything I'm saying on face value. And then again, don't take what I'm saying as if I 100% believe it. Not even believe it, accept it as truth. Because I will say I believe. And when I say I believe, then I'm admitting that it's not a fact. It's a feeling that I have. It's a belief that I have towards a situation. You know? But again, I will provide you with some of the text that gave me some of the answers that I'm speaking on. So then I would encourage you all to take the text that I have recommended, break them down, and then give me an assessment. Give me an assessment, especially this Inside the Nation book, because this was a book. This wasn't a book written by an outsider who has an agenda to expose the Nation of Islam. This was written by somebody who was once a member and a minister at one point that was writing about his personal experiences. So I'm going to call his personal experiences a lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to do that. So I can see if this book was written by part of the Nation of Islam who just his whole life's work is to expose them. This book was written by a former Muslim himself that was in the nation for a very long minute, and he writing about some things that he actually went through. You know, so I like to read accounts like that. This is your personal experiences. These are things you went through personally while you was a part of the nation. I'm not going to sit here and call that person a liar in regards to their personal information. It was some historical details that was incorrect in this book. But the personal account, when he started talking about what he personally went through and how they was tampering with his crib and things like that, I'm not about to sit out here and just call this man a liar. I have no reason. I have no reason to sit here and accuse this dude of lying simply because of my affiliation. I'm not going to do that. This is your personal experience until the other people that you mentioned in this book give their account of what happened. I'm not saying his personal experience is a fact. I'm not saying it's a fallacy, but I'm going to take his word right now until these other people come out and say, oh, this ain't what happened. This is what happened. Because we know it's 2-3 sides to every story. Aside for sure. Book of Khaled, right here, boom. That's book number 1. This my joint right here, boom. Inside the Nation of Islam, right here. And then the Black Muslims in America. Those are the 3 books. Now I got other books, but those are the 3 books. Those are the 3 books. But as I said, I'm just dealing inequality. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just dealing inequality. I'm going to study both sides. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm studying all of the sides. Like, I got every Wesley Muhammad book known to man behind me. You know, he has written some of my favorite works. But then again, also at the same time, I'm going to read the other side. That is how you become a true researcher. I'm not just going to be one-sided, you know? So I'm going to study all sides. Just like y'all know the way that I eat. More like the books behind me. I got more books on why you should eat meat opposed to vegan books behind me. Yet y'all know how I eat. You know, so that's the way I tend to operate. That sharpens your sword. You know what I'm saying? So when you got these affiliations, man, you got to be studying all sides and all angles. You can't just be biased towards whatever it is you rock with, whatever it is you think, whatever it is you believe. Read all sides, read all accounts, and then make a decision off of that. Don't just be one-sided with it. I was taught that early in the research game, and I've had to read some very uncomfortable things about some people that I rock with. But that's the way you come to the actual truth, by studying all sides. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just going to study one side. I got to study all sides. I got to study the bright side, the dark side. I got to study the pros. I got to study the cons. I got to study the likes. I got to study the dislikes. And then I got to weigh the evidence. And then I got to make a decision based on that evidence. That's the only true way to truth. There is no way you can come across the truth by just dealing with one side of something. It's not possible. That's not possible, and that's not right and exact. So we got to do the hard work. And the hard work is reading and studying information that goes against what it is that you believe. And it's hard to read stuff like that. You know, imagine reading 400 or 500 pages of something you don't agree with. I do it all the time. You know, I didn't read 400, 500 page books telling me how foolish it is to be vegan. I'm going to finish this though, because it's going to sharpen my sword. It's going to sharpen my arguments. That's true science. That's true science. When you operate on a truly scientific level, you are always trying to prove yourself wrong. You're always trying to prove what it is that you believe or know wrong. That's true science. I don't know what all this other science folks be talking about when they be talking about the white man science or black. All it true science is, I'm just trying to prove what it is that I rock with wrong. That's true science. So whatever it is I rock with, I'm trying to prove it wrong. And I'm always in that mode. I'm trying to prove something wrong. Why do you think, you know what I'm saying, I'm reading some of these books? Because I rock with these folks. But it created a situation where I was completely biased. So I'm like, man, let me just read some uncomfortable stuff about folks that I rock with, about folks that I learned about. So that's what I started to do. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to take away from the impact that Elijah Muhammad and Farrakhan had on me. No, I didn't just read these books and be like, forget everything they saying. No, I said that earlier. I learned a lot from Elijah Muhammad, and I will continue to learn a lot from his books. Every time I go back and reread them, I'm learning more and more. Same with Farrakhan. Learned a lot from his speeches, learned a lot from the few books he has written, and I will continue to learn from him. But again, I know everybody got pros and cons to them, just like me. You know, I've spoken on my cons openly. You know, I'm not just 100% positive. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm going to spare you having to do that research. I will let you know my shortcomings. I will let you know that. And I won't justify any of my shortcomings. And I won't use my culture. I won't use any religious text, none of that, to justify things that I decided to do that wasn't right and exact. I don't do that. I don't do that. If I did something that wasn't right and exact and I chose to do it, that's simply what it is. I chose to do something that was not right and exact, and whatever consequence or consequences come my way, I accept them. Like I accept it. You know, that's the way that I live. You know, so if I ever reach some type of point in life, you're not gonna have to dive too deep to find out what I'm on, because I will tell you. Like, I will flat out tell you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't gonna have to search. I ain't paying people. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna have to spend a bunch of money on to hush people and silence them. I'm not gonna have to do that. I don't have to do that, because I tell you what it is. Like, straight up. I'm not gonna hide it from you. You know, I'm not trying to hide it from you, because all that stuff comes to light. You know, when you do the dirt, it's gonna come to the light regardless. So you might as well just be open about it. You might as well be the one. You know, so if you reach a certain type of position, man, you might as well be the one to expose things and not these other people, because it's gonna come to the light regardless. So you might as well be the one. You might as well be the messenger of your flaws, of your cons, of your shortcomings. You might as well be that. Anything that you did that was foul, anything that you did that will raise concern, doubts, questions, you might as well bring that to the surface. You might as well be that person. And that's how I feel. That's how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? And again, as I've said, nobody is above criticism. Not one person. So if you feel like somebody is above criticism, if you feel like somebody that cannot be criticized, then it's going to be hard to have a conversation with me, because I don't feel that way. There is no doctrine, there is no person that is above criticism. Not one. Not one. So whether you bringing up a religious text, whether you bringing up a person, nobody is above criticism. What they call it, idol worship. Like, I don't worship a person. I don't worship anything. You know what I'm saying? I just don't do it. I don't do that. You know, I'm not going to ever look at anything, anybody as flawless in regards to just being right 100% of the time. No, everything they say and everything that's in it is accurate and right and exact. No, I don't look at anything or anybody like that. That includes myself, and that includes everything outside of me. Now, again, that doesn't mean that I'm out here just trying to find fault in everything and everybody, but I will ask questions when something don't make sense to me, and I will tell you what makes sense to me and what I can rock with. But I'm definitely going to ask questions. And I always, when I'm talking to people that's younger than me, I encourage them to ask questions. Don't let nobody just tell you something. And then if somebody just tells you to accept something just because of who somebody is, then that's not something you need to be a part of, man, because that's not right. If somebody gets mad that you questioning something, or you questioning them about something, that's questionable. If somebody is presenting you with all this information or all these statements, and you just got some simple questions to confirm them, and they getting upset, That's questionable. That's a questionable act right there. Because why are you getting upset when all I'm trying to do is confirm it? You told me something I've never heard before. So it's only right for me to be like, hold up, where you get this information from? Is there anything I can tap into that can confirm what you're saying? Because I've never heard this before. So you can't get mad at somebody that's asking you something about something they never heard before that you told them. They're just trying to get confirmation. You should applaud that. You should applaud that. But what do? We shun those folks. We get mad. We get defensive. Don't get defensive. Don't get defensive, man. If you telling somebody something and they haven't heard it before and they start questioning you, do not get defensive, man. They are just trying to confirm what you are saying. They are just curious as to where you came across this information. They're curious. That's why I always provide my sources. Y'all see how I rock. I'm not about to just start saying things and then somebody asks me something, I get mad. I'm going to give you sources before you don't even have to get to that point of asking me where I came up with certain things. I'm going to supply you with sources. It is up to you now to tap into my sources and do the work. So that's on the person. Once I give you the source, now it's on you. So if you question me and I say, well, hey, read this book or read these books, and you don't decide to read them, then that's going to lead me to think you're not serious and you don't want to get this confirmed. So again, when I ask somebody something and the person doesn't get defensive and they tell me what books they read, I go get the books and I go read them. That's how I got a lot of books that I have behind me. I've asked certain people questions and they were honest and they wasn't defensive. They didn't get emotional. They didn't get upset. And they told me what books to read. And I went and grabbed them. And I read them for the most part. I still got something I have to read. But that's how I came across a lot of books, man. I'd be like, hey, man, I heard you say X, Y, and Z. Where you get that from? Like, where you get that information from? Here, go get this book. Go order this book. So I go do it. Hey, Mark, the last one is Inside the Nation of Islam. That's the last one. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna supply them with the sources, or I'm gonna get the sources, and I'm going to engage in study. And then I'm going to meet back up with you and let you know what I came across. Because again, man, everybody, even the people that write the books and all that, man, everything is flawed, man. People got flaws. People gonna put incorrect information in books. People gonna say incorrect information in speeches. It's gonna happen. So we here to fact check and correct errors. That's what we're here for. So if any of y'all, like Jack or Asada or whatever, if y'all come across some things in the books that I've read that are incorrect, which some of the stuff I know, but if y'all come across some things that's incorrect, please, when you tap in with me on here, let me know what you came across that was incorrect. Now, mind you, notice what I'm saying. I'm saying come across things that's incorrect, not things you don't necessarily agree with. So no, I'm dealing with what's factual. So when you come across things that are not factual, that's what I want to hear about. Not I don't agree with such and such. No, I want to hear what was not true. And then once you give me what was not true, now I want to know the truth, and then I want to know the source of the truth. So that's how that's supposed to go, So boom, you read the text, you tell me, hey, such and such said yada yada yada. That's not true. Here's the truth. Then give me that source. Give me that source. And that's how you play that game. And that's how we gonna come to the truth right there. So that's how we do it. At least that's how we supposed to do it. And it's all cordial. Like again, I don't have any problem with my NOI brothers and sisters. We might have minor disagreements. We might have a way that we view things that's a little different, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to having each other's back, best believe it. I ain't finna let one of my NOI brothers and sisters just be out here hurting, and I'm right there and I'm able-bodied. No. If y'all need a brother to come through and you cool, you gave me good vibes, I'm coming through. I'm coming through. And that's for my brothers and sisters in any organization, any religion. If you cool with me, if you ain't never did me dirty and said anything foul my way, hey, best believe I'm pulling up on you. I got you. Because that's just the type of person I am. Now, if you saying some foul stuff, you said some foul stuff to me, nah, I ain't rocking with you. And again, I don't care what your affiliation is. You said some foul things my way, or if you just got a foul way about yourself, not rocking with you. But if you're a righteous individual, I don't care what you are. I don't care what you call yourself. You're a righteous individual. Man, you could be atheist, Muslim, Christian, Catholic, Baptist, whatever. Man, if you're a righteous individual and you haven't given me a reason to look at you sideways, man, best believe I got you. But foul is foul, man. If you acting foul, I'm gonna call you out on your foul acts, just like I would hope you do for me. You know, when something is foul, I would hope if I'm moving in a foul manner, I would hope any of you all that's on this in this chat will call me out on it. Because those are the people that you want around you. Those are the people that you want connecting with you and communicating with you. Those that will let you know when you're not acting right, when you're not doing right, when you're not saying right. Ronaldo, oh, you already know. I read Message to the Black Man. Man, that was one of the first joints I read when I started to just get into reading. How to Eat to Live, both volumes. So my path, like the way it happened for me, it was a few books that I read when I first started to read, when I first started to attain this knowledge of self. I ain't gonna say first started to read, like I ain't know how to read, but when I first started to take control and self-educate myself and not read the books that the school system was supplying with me or supplying to me. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, obviously. I read and from there I read Message to the Black Man. And then I read How to Eat to Live, both volumes. And then I had this book. I went to Barnes and Noble, which, you know, I just saw the book and was intrigued. I read the book, The 5 Percenters by Michael Muhammad Knight or something. So I just read that. And then I read this book about Marcus Garvey. I forget the exact title. I still got that book behind me. Let me see if I can look up the name real quick. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, I read Marcus Garvey, Life and Lessons, a centennial companion to the Marcus Garvey and Universal Negro Improvement Association papers. Those were the books that I read. I think it might have been in the exact order that I mentioned them. But that's how my reading started off when I started to self-educate myself and acquire knowledge of self. Like that's how it started. It started with the autobiography of Malcolm X because I always resonated with Malcolm, but I hadn't studied him due to the fact that I'm in the Western school system like most of us were. And all they was feeding me was Martin Luther King Jr. And they made me look the other way when it came to Malcolm and whatnot. The only thing that had me clinging to a little bit of curiosity was that my parents used to have Farrakhan speeches on VHS back in the day. Yeah, that show you the age a little bit. But my peoples, they had a few Farrakhan speeches on VHS, and they had, I think, like one college speech on VHS. So in the back of my mind, that always existed. So when it was time for me to take control of what I was feeding myself intellectually, I went right to Malcolm. I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to read about this dude for the longest. Let me read this book. And so I read that. And then in that book, that's when he talked about the message to the black man saving his life, basically. So I was like, boom, if it saved his life, let me go read it. So I went and grabbed it. And then when I read that, I'm like, hold on, what else dude then wrote? How to Eat to Live, because I was on my health kick around that time too. So I read both of those. And then I came across the 5% book, boom, read that. Even though that's not a book I really would highly recommend nowadays due to the author who wrote it, that 5% book, but whatever. I ain't know anything at the time. I just saw that Barnes and Noble and got it. And then I read the Marcus Garvey book because I kind of always had some curiosity about Marcus Garvey. So I read that. And then after that, that's when I started tapping into like the Black Panthers and Huey Newton them. And read some of my favorite books of all time, Revolutionary Suicide. That's Huey Newton joint. That's one of my favorite books of all time. Revolutionary Suicide, one of my favorite books. And then the second one, George Jackson, Blood in My Eye. It's one of my second favorite books. And then he got the Soul Dad brother, which is the Prison Letters of George Jackson. Those are like three of my favorite books of all time, outside of like the autobiography of Malcolm X. But that Revolutionary Suicide, Huey Newton, that's one of my joints, man. I read that book twice. Like right after I read it, I had to read that again. Like that's one of my favorite joints. I feel like we mentioned Malcolm, we mentioned Farrakhan, we mentioned all these folks, we mentioned Garvey, we mentioned MLK, but I feel like Huey Newton, like his mind, very underrated. George Jackson, like I feel like those brothers had some unique minds, man, some very powerful minds, and I don't feel like they get mentioned enough when it comes to the intellectual work that they were putting out, their thoughts and the way they perceive things and the way that they were moving. You know, the curriculum that they laid out with the Panthers, man. I just don't feel like it gets enough credit. You know, so George Jackson, one of my favorite writers of all time, just the way he wrote. You know, I like his writing style and ability. Like it's very thought provoking. So when I got introduced to that, man, I had to reread them joints because they was writing in a whole different language in my eyes, because they were studying Marxism and things like that. So like the stuff was a little bit more complicated for me to grasp when I was reading their works compared to what Elijah and them was talking about and writing. It wasn't that hard for me to pick up on that language, you know, because they was keeping it simple to where, you know, baby can understand it. But Huey and them and George Jackson, like that was a little bit more complicated. So I had to read that stuff a little slower, and I had to reread it because they were throwing in political concepts that I ain't never heard of before, you know. So, but those are some of my favorite books, man, for real. Revolutionary Suicide is my favorite. You know, I'm gonna read that about 4-5 more times, you know. And George Jackson will probably go down as one of my favorite writers, just from his style of writing, you know. And then I read another one too that I forgot about that was in this mix by Eldridge Cleaver, Soul on Ice. I read that one. That was the book I read. Soul on Ice. I read that one. So those are like the books that just started me in the direction that I'm in. Like there are a lot of other popular books that I've read that everybody read over the time, but I didn't start off with some of those books. Yeah, Mark, the Miseducation of the Negro. Like I didn't start off with that. I read that, but like that might have came 20 books, 25 books later. The Destruction of Black Civilization, like these books came later, but I read them. They just came later. I started off on that type of time. But yeah, so Soul on Ice, man, Eldridge Cleaver. I read that, and then again to go back to my point about criticism, man, like those are some great minds, but even within the Black Panther Party, man, egos, jealousy, envy, man, messed up the party for sure. Infiltration, like just tore it down, man. Tore it down. Leo, Tayson, what's happening? Just tore it down, man. It'd be sad. It's sad when you read about majority of these Black organizations and the numbers that we had in some of these organizations and the curriculum, the structure, and then the downfall of them. It be, you know, it's rough, man. Like from the infiltration to the betrayal, the double crossing, the snitching, just all of that, man, setting folks up, man, just all of that goes on even in righteous organizations, man. So the same things that be going on with gangs, it goes on in political organizations, religious organizations. It's a power struggle, man. We got a problem with power, fam. So when you got these organizations, man, it's like it's inevitable for there to be some sort of power struggle, for egos not to get involved. It happens 99.9% of the time. You hard pressed to find an organization where this stuff doesn't become a problem. And if you do find one of these organizations where it doesn't become a problem, Then now you get the infiltration. So if you got a pristine organization where there's no internal issues, everybody is getting along, egos ain't tripping, which that's hard pressed to find. But if you come across that, then all they about to do is infiltrate. They say, okay, they got a smooth selling operation. We got to tear it down. Everybody has a price. Let's go pay somebody. Let's go find somebody off the street and have them become a member of this organization and pay them whatever it is we need to pay them, and have them tear it down. So when you got an organization like that and it's pristine, it's immaculate, everything right and exact, which is a rare breed, then they just gonna infiltrate it. And infiltration is going to work because everybody has a price, fam. So there's nothing for them to place somebody in an organization for the right price. That's nothing. You know, you got a black organization, you got spies in the organization. It's inevitable. Farrakhan them know that and knew that. They acknowledge that. You know, all the Black Panthers did the same thing. They acknowledge that, they know that this is a fact. That's why when you go to the story of Jesus, which to me everything is a parable, but that's all that the Judas, that's what that is. It's a parable and it's an allegory. It's a story meant to convey a message. The story of Judas, that's the message, man. You always gonna have that amongst an organization, amongst a circle of friends. You always gonna have that one person. You always gonna have that one person that for the right price will send this whole thing crumbling down. You always gonna have it, man. That's inevitable, fam. You know, so we just got to do a better job of detecting these individuals, because a lot of times when it comes to infiltration, when you study the infiltration of a lot of our movements, it comes from folks that was right up on some of the individuals, like Fred Hampton. That story was garbage. You know, Fred Hampton was basically, you know what I'm saying? Like he was, I mean, the enemy was your best friend, basically, your best comrade. You know what I'm saying? Right up on you. Right up on you. You know what I'm saying? So we got to just do a better job of vetting them out, you know, and read some of the text written by these wicked folks. Like they tell you, they let you know that infiltration is going to come from somebody that's closest to you. You better off dealing with folks that don't like you. They let you know this in these books, man. You have a better chance of seeing your organization or movement thrive when you keep people around you who do not like you, compared to your friends, family, and folks that like you. Fam, and this is a fact, fam. As much as we talk about the 48 laws of power, like that's real. That's real, fam. Like more than likely you go get done dirty by the folks who rock with you, by the folks that's closest to you. Straight up. Straight up. You know, so again, that's what they mean by, hey, that's what they mean by keep that enemy close, man. That's what they mean. That's what they mean, man. But again, within all these organizations, that's the problem. That's the common denominator, man. It's like Marcus Garvey had a powerful structure, fam. Powerful structure. Once they got him on the mail fraud, that was it. And the mail fraud, it was some snitching going on with that. You know what I mean? It was some snitching going on with that. All bad. And then they had the folks, the bourgeoisie Negroes that kept going at Marcus Garvey, trying to get people to deviate and turn away from Marcus Garvey at the time. You know, so you got all of this going on. Same with all the organs, same with the Nation of Islam. Definitely infiltrators in there. Plenty of speeches where folks they know that. They know it. They know everybody that's in the nation ain't in the nation. Just like they say all skin folk ain't kin folk. Same with the Black Panther Party. Same with the 5%. Same with what I'm on. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta watch folks, man. Just gotta watch folks, man. You can't just let your guard down because, oh, I'm 5%, they 5%. That don't necessarily mean nothing. You know, let's have this conversation, and I can assess your energy from that point going forward. Oh, Max, 100%, man. That's gonna always be a thing as far as you just living within. But part of that though, again, part of that living within is how easy you would be set up externally. If you haven't conquered that enemy within and that Judas within, then that's not going to allow you to see the folks that are exhibiting that behavior outside of you. So when you got a person that has mastered those factors within themselves, then they are able to detect it better on the outside. So when you done conquered that Judas within yourself, then you able. It's like what they say. You can't play the player. You know what I'm saying? Because I know all the tactics. Because I was one of them. So when you conquer that Judas within yourself and that enemy within, then your perception becomes clearer in regards to detecting it on the outside. You be like, hold up. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, dude moving a little weird. It clears up the perception. So when you tapped in, you literally tapped in. So that's why we always start with self. When you conquer yourself, it makes it that much easier to conquer that life outside of self. So that should always be your focus first and foremost, is to master everything within self. And that will permeate outside of yourself. So it'll make it that much easier to deal with the universe. Like they say, you master yourself, you mastering your universe, or you mastering the universe. You master what's within, you mastering what's without. So that's how it's supposed to start. It's supposed to be an inside job first, and then it goes outward. But a lot of times we do it the opposite way. We start on the outside and then try to bring it in. That ain't gonna work. So you got to start within first. Always start within. Always do the inside work. Always do the internal work first. And it makes it that much easier. Like, you're going to be able to detect everything. What they call it, clairvoyancy. Like, you're going to be able to tap in with everything, man, when you tapped in internally. Some will be hard pressed to get past you, man. You know what I'm saying? When you tapped in. And y'all done met a person like that. Y'all might be the person where nothing gets past you because you tapped in. I know I'm not 100% there yet, but I'm getting good. To the point where I'm like, people invite you certain places. I'm like, man, nah, I'm good on that. Like, you just feel like stuff is off. Like, man, that's a person that's tapped in. That's a person that's tapped in, man. When you could just feel like you can just get in that room with that person, like, man, something ain't right with that person, and then come to find out something wasn't right with that person. Like, you tapped in. You tapped in, man. You become observant. Hey, Eddie, peace. Appreciate that super chat. I'll tell you for sure, man. Yeah. Tesla. When I was in my quantum physics science studying phase, boy, you studied a lot of Tesla and whatnot. Oh yeah, Ronaldo, for sure, man. I'm not. Listen. I don't even want anybody to take what I'm saying as me discrediting the Nation of Islam. Show them my brothers and sisters first and foremost. Actually, before a lot of other organizations. You know what I'm saying? But again, like I say, man, we just brothers with questions and coming across information that we want to get confirmed and whatnot. And we just gonna bring it to the surface. I don't bring it to the surface to discredit it, because I feel like I have given more props to my NR, to Elijah, to Farrakhan, to all of these individuals. I feel like my pros outweigh my cons with that, or my positives outweigh my negatives. I feel like I've given them a lot of praise on my platform. So it's just one or two things I may look at sideways, and I'm just bringing that up. But no, that ain't to discredit the work, the advice, the information that I have gathered from their text. How to Eat to Live changed the game for your boy. Both volumes. Best believe it. That's where I started tapping into fasting. Like, what? Eat one meal a day, eat one meal every other day? Like, man, I ain't never heard that before that. Now people call that intermittent fasting. Now people call it now people say you doing a 16-8 or 18-6. Or are you doing a 20-40 or 21:3 or 23:1. So the white folks took what Elijah was saying and made it intermittent fasting. Like, man, that's what he was saying, do. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all ain't gonna get that man no credit. Y'all ain't gonna see how to eat to live being referenced in no textbooks. But that's what, man, that's where that stuff, man, come on. Like, that's literally some of the stuff you would read nowadays when you hear folks, these white folks talk about intermittent fasting. Man, that's literally, a lot of that stuff is literally what is in that book, or those two volumes, or those volumes, I should say. 1 meal a day, 1 meal every other day. That's fasting. That's intermittent fast. If you eat 1 meal a day, from an intermittent standpoint, if you don't snack, that's a 23:1. I mean, you fasting for 23 hours, you eating within this 1 hour window. That's intermittent fasting. And then if you're doing 1 meal every other day, every other day, that's extended fast. That's what they call it, extended fast. Like, it might not have been used, he might not have said it like that, but then they're gonna change it and put their little words to it and make it seem like they came up with the concept, or tell you somebody else came up with the concept. Oh, bro, I'm not gonna say verbatim that people were not fasting before Elijah Muhammad now came up with it. I'm not gonna say that wasn't happening, because it's a few books, like healing books, that deal with detoxing and cleansing, that came out before the NOI was a movement. But they popularized it for sure. That's an actual fact, Jack. Now I don't even think anybody can dispute that. I don't think anybody can dispute. If you try to dispute that, good luck. But I definitely know he popularized that. Like, wasn't nobody saying it like that when it came out. That was a fairly new concept. Now, again, fasting is in all of the spirit, like the religious doctrine. So fasting is in there. Fasting is in the Bible. Fasting is in the Quran. You know what I'm saying? So if we speaking like that, technically fasting been around. Like, that's one of the age-old principles of healing. But he took the 1 meal a day and made it a thing. And 1 meal every other day made it a thing, which they call intermittent fasting. But I never give them credit for it. I never speak about fasting and leave out how to eat to live. I never do that. Every time I mention fast, I'm gonna tell you straight up where I got that from. I'm gonna tell you I got fasting from Elijah Muhammad, How to Eat to Live. And I'm gonna recommend them books every time. You're not gonna ever hear me talk about fasting, no matter where I'm at. You're not gonna hear me talk about dietary laws and practices. I've done a few interviews, and every time they ask me how I started on my health journey, I always bring up How to Eat to Live. I bring up Elijah Muhammad every time. Every time. This never failed. I ain't gonna bring up anybody else, because it wasn't anybody else. Outside of that, and then like Dead Prayers, when I first heard they song Be Healthy. Those are the things that kind of pointed me in that direction of changing the way that I was living and eating. Elijah Muhammad, How to Eat to Live. When I was listening to Dead Prayers and I came across Be Healthy, that right there opened my eyes. I was like, hold up. That's when I got on my health journey. That's when I got on my health journey. Those are the things that sparked me. You know what I'm saying? So I might have came across health information before that, but that's what sparked me. Like, when I read those, I'm like, hold up. Yeah, when I read that information, I'm like, hold on. I read them How to Eat to Live, and then I started loaning them out. Like, I was on it. You know how they was doing it, how they do their newspapers, the final call and all that. I was doing that with How to Eat to Live. Like, hey, man, y'all need to read this, man. But y'all know how that go, man. People they wasn't ready for the information. I was ready for it, but the people around me, they wasn't ready for it. So that was like it was a frustrating period. Tony, you talking about 50 in the clip. Yeah, oh yeah, that's the joint. You know what I'm saying? I didn't banged out push-ups to that joint. Yeah, that's that 50 in the clip. You know, straight up. Virgil, yeah. Right, that's what I was saying. Fasting definitely is in all the scriptures. All the religious and spiritual texts, for the most part, have some element of fasting in it. Even if you study Buddhism, like all of those groups and all of those texts have an element of fasting. Every last one of them, because again, fasting is an age-old remedy, which is why it'd be funny when you got folks that criticize it. Fasting is one of the I ain't even say one of, it is the oldest remedy for ailments. Like, come on now. But yeah, all of the religious and spiritual texts, for the most part, if they list their dietary principles, they will have an element of fasting in it. Every last one of them. Anything that's tapping into knowledge of self, spirituality, enlightenment, getting closer to a higher power, higher source, your higher self, whatever. Anything that's speaking along those lines, they're going to incorporate fasting, or they're going to mention fasting. They're going to do it. There's no way you're going to have any type of text with that type of language going in that type of direction that don't mention fasting. Because there's no way you're going to be able to connect to any type of source if you're not fasting. They all tell you that. No matter what you studying, I bet you they all gonna agree on that. Bet you, I promise you. Like I say, from Buddhism, from Christianity and the Bible to Islam and the Quran and all the other religious and spiritual texts, fasting is in there. Some element of fasting. Hey, Devin, peace. What's happening? Virgil, would you say, do I think half day fasting works? Oh, for sure. I'm big advocate of fasting, depending on your situation, and depending on like your age. Because obviously, the younger you are, you need more nutrients because you're in the growing stage. So I never recommend like younger people fasting. Like no, I don't recommend that ever. But yeah, nah, when you of age, like man, fasting definitely works, especially if you're dealing with like obesity, just being overweight, all of that. Like the only time where I seriously probably wouldn't recommend fasting is if you underweight. Just like you could be overweight, you could be underweight. You know, and people don't you don't hear people talk about that a lot, man, but you could be underweight. And when that's the case, man, you more than likely like need to eat to build that muscle because muscle is important, fam. Like we ain't can't don't neglect your muscle building, fam. So if you you underweight and you just skin and bones, like you need to do something about that too. You need to build that muscle to protect the bones, and especially my sisters, like y'all gotta, y'all more susceptible to osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, and that's related to your bones. You know, and one way to protect yourself from that is to strength train and build that muscle. So yeah, so you can also be underweight. So if you out here underweight, you skin and bones, nah, I'm not gonna tell you to be fasting. Like I'm gonna put you on a program to eat, especially or definitely eating the right foods. Yeah, so it just depends. It depends on the person. It depends on their goals. Like it just depends on some things as far as like advice I give, especially as a trainer. Like some people, I have them undergo a certain type of eating regimen because of where they might be at weight wise, and then some of them have the goal of wanting to build muscle and put on muscle for certain things they doing. So I know how to instruct somebody to do that in a healthy manner, like straight up. Oh yeah, man. I'm trying to tell you, man. Fasting gonna help you, man. Like if you dealing with cravings, addictions, and just again obesity, like it's gonna help you with that. It definitely will satisfy cravings. Like not satisfy, it will eliminate cravings. It will eliminate that for sure. Like it will eliminate your cravings for sure. Virgil, you say, what do I recommend after a fast? After a fast, you never want to eat anything heavy. And that's a mistake we have. So in America, the tradition is after you fast, you eat something called breakfast. For the longest, when we was growing up, breakfast was large. You had your eggs, bacon, pancakes, sausage, orange juice, all this type of stuff that's about to tear your digestive system up. You know, so when you coming up off a fast, man, you want something that's light. And depending on when you fast, so if you breaking your fast in the morning, because everybody work different schedules. So if you breaking your fast in the morning, and it also depends on how long the fast is too. But if you breaking a light fast in the morning, eat some fruit. If you breaking your fast at night, eat something that's green, preferably soupy. You know what I'm saying? Preferably soupy, like some type of broth, like a vegetable broth, or like a green smoothie, green juice, something like that. If you're breaking it at night, you break it in the morning, eat you some fruit, man, some berries or something. Breaking it at night, eat you something green, preferably something that's soupy. Now the longer fast can get a little complicated. You know, if you're doing an extended fast, you're going 3-4 days. Sometimes it's not best to break those long fasts on fruit because that can cause your blood sugar levels to rise rapidly. So sometimes when you're doing those extended fasts, you want to break it with something. You want to go to the green soupy joints, like some type of broth, some type of vegetable soup, lentil soup, something like that. So when you're doing an extended fast, you might want to watch breaking it with fruit because that can make your blood sugar rise real rapidly and you might not feel good after you do it. But that's only for extended fast, like 2-3 days. You want to break it with something green and preferably soupy. Now, if it's just 24 hours, then you should be all right with some fruit, with some berries. Definitely if it's like 8, 9, 10 hours, you could break it with some berries and whatnot, especially if it's in the morning. But if it's been 2 or 3 days, nah, like you might want to break it with something more on the green side. Yeah, more on the green side. And that's, like I said, that's only when it's been an extended fast. Like it's only when it's an extended fast. And that doesn't mean that I think the fruit is bad. It's just the fruit is going to have an impact on your sugar levels and your glucose and all that. And it's going to rise real quick. And that may lead to you feeling bad. That's the only reason I'm saying don't do it. Don't mean that the fruit is negative. Don't mean the fruit is bad. It just might have you feeling weird if you break it with some fruit. So you want to break it and you don't want to feel weird. Then you want to do something that's green. Nah, Virgil, I wouldn't do the bread. No, like that's on the heavy side. I wouldn't do the bread. Like give yourself about 2 or 3 meals after your fast before you reincorporate the bread back in the mix. And again, it also depends on how long the fast is that you're breaking. If it's been an extended fast, wouldn't do it. Even just like a regular, like you waking up in the morning, I would still break it with some fruit. And then after you break it with the fruit, I would still maybe 2 hours later drink like a smoothie or a juice. And then that's when I would probably eat a solid meal, like the third meal or something. But I'll wait about I'll probably give myself maybe 2 meals or so that's just like fruit and then something like a drink or a juice, I should say, before I eat like a real solid hot meal to warm my digestive system up. Mark, you know the funny thing about it is water fasting and dry fasting are really technically the only forms of fasting. Like really, if you go to the definition of fasting, there's really actually no such thing as a fruit fast, as a raw fruit food fast, as technically when you fasting, you are refraining or abstaining from food. So if you are consuming any ounce of food, it's technically not a fast. It's more of a detox and a cleanse. And a lot of people don't be knowing. I hear people say I'm going on like a fruit fast, and no, you going on like a 7-day fruit cleanse or a detox. That's not a fast, fam. The only way you can truly fast is if you are like nothing at all, which is dry fasting, or just water. That's what fasting is. Fasting is abstaining or refraining from food. So anything that's food related, that doesn't count as a fast. So I don't want to burst your bubble. Anybody that think they going on a fruit fast, but that's not what that's called. It's a fruit cleanse. Like that's what you're doing. Tayson, I'm glad you asked that question. Because the answer to that is no. Now, the mind can impact the quality of your food for sure. Here's the thing about the mind, right? Here's the thing. Because they say you are what you eat, and I say you eat what you are, right? So here's the thing. This is what happens. When you thinking in a certain type of way and it's negative, all that's happening is that messes up your digestive system. So that's how you can think a certain type of way and it makes a high quality food a low quality food because your digestive system is tampered with. That's what's happening. So that's how you can have a positive mind. Like that's how a negative mindset can affect the quality of one's food that's supposed to be positive. On the flip side of that, though, if you have a positive mindset, but you consume food that will mess up your digestive system will get messed up. There is no level of positive thinking you can do that will allow you to consume a food that has poison in it that won't poison you. Like it just you can't do it. You can't do it. This food has poison in it. If you continue to eat this poison over time, your mind will become poisonous and your body will become poisonous. Nothing you can do about that. Nothing you can do about it. That's why you have all of these people who pray over their food, who put all this good energy over their food before they consume it, still have these health ailments because they praying over toxic food. Toxic food is toxic food. There's nothing you can do about that. You keep eating the swine, you keep eating pork. I don't care how happy you are when you do it. I don't care how many times you pray over it. You will have some ailments come your way. Pork is pork, and it will tear up your digestive system. It will tear you up internally. There's no way around it. I don't care how positive you try to be. You gonna break down from eating too much of that pork. It's gonna happen. Ronaldo, you say is the island detox smoothie any good from tropical smoothie? Man, some of them places be lacing them smoothies up with some stuff that's not supposed to be in them. And they be putting a bunch of extra sugar and added sugar in them joints. Best way to do it is just make your own. Because they be adding too much stuff, man, that don't need to be in the smoothies in them for the taste purposes. Virgil, no. Eating heavy before a fast is the worst thing you could do. You got to break a fast just the same way you enter the fast. So you gotta enter the fast light, just like you gotta break the fast with light food. That's an important part, which I'm glad you answered that because I ain't touch on that. But you enter the fast same way you break it. You want to eat light. You want to eat light. I tell people before you actually go on the fast, man, that whole day before the fast should be light meals, man. Salads, them soups, smoothies, juices. Like you should be eating light the day before and the day after a fast. Like that's how I instruct people to do it. You want to ease into the fast and you want to ease out of the fast. But y'all, man, with that being said, man, I gotta make some moves, man. I gotta head back to this gym, finish off my clients for the second half of my day. So, man, I appreciate y'all tapping in, man. I appreciate the input. I appreciate the bills. I appreciate the donations for sure. Like I say, man, I don't be going live as often as I would like, but that's because I just been busy out here putting in work. So I'm gonna try to tap in whenever I can tap in with y'all, man. But in the meantime, man, hey, y'all stay studious, y'all stay peaceful, y'all stay healthy, hey, and y'all stay original and authentic. I'm out, man. Y'all be easy. I appreciate y'all. Peace.